And I've said this before, but I'll say this very briefly. I believe that Dedra and Cyril are the two most thoroughly realized characters that we've ever seen in the Empire. And it's genius.
Yeah.
Jonathan, we're on a roll. What have you got?
Ask the question.
This is like a full circle moment for me, actually. The final episode of Bloodline was what made me start to do this job. I had to speak with someone about it, so I had to. I reached out to publication. Can I write about this? And now here I am speaking with you. So
thank you for saying that. That's. Thank you. I'm really touched by that.
That's really lovely.
Thank you.
He wants 10% of all your earnings now.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm also loving this show, of course. I've seen the entire second season. And the three of you kind of, for us, the viewers, you're the bad guys. But I'm wondering, is that really how you guys feel? Because I think that you do not, right?
No, you're right in that. You don't have to play bad. Bad is in some ways the situation that's going on. And I've said this before, but I'll say this very briefly. I believe that Dedra and Cyril are the two most thoroughly realized characters that we've ever seen in the Empire. And it's genius because they are such strong and clear characters in some ways, and you can read them as certain ways. But what happens in this series is really for me the triumph. You know, there are many triumphs. The Gorman situation, etc. Of course, which these are both such a part of, and the machinations. Now, quickly as Krennic, yes, I come in. I do my job, which is to, be the lieutenant to Emperor. I went and saw him. Now we're going to do this. But what happens to these fine people is really what matters in our side of things. Please.
Well, in the first season, I was totally on the, she doesn't feel that she's a villain. She believes in what, but as an audience member this season, I find Dedra to be monstrous. I find her to be very, very dangerous. She does monstrous things, and there is nothing about me as an actress that I don't need to be one of those actors who says, I have to love every character I play. I'm afraid for me, we veer into something far more serious this season, which is so important, and I'm so grateful for it, because it could have, in the hands of lesser artists and writers, we could have taken a real swing into let's not upset anybody and let's keep it all quite camp and nice, and we just don't do that in this show. It's a profound privilege to play somebody who you get to show the very worst of what a person is capable of doing when they refuse to see anything outside the world that they believe in. And unfortunately, she was indoctrinated into it. So it's not even her fault. She grew up in this thing. So, but I think it's really important to show the damage that can be done if we refuse to walk amongst the people that we're oppressing.
Yeah.
Kyle? Drop the mic, Kyle.
We leave it for Kyle because Kyle usually has
the mic drop, yeah.
And the clearest. He's usually the clearest and most elegant. Sorry, no pressure.
No pressure.
It's just like Andor season 2. Now go and deliver.
Take her home,
Kyle. Now take us home.
Here we go. You're never going to get anywhere trying to play a villain.
Yeah.
By trying to play a villain. You can't play bad.
Yeah.
And Tony has written characters that are ultimately acting within the gray area. Be that Cassian Andor, murdering someone in the first scene of season 1, episode 1. I mean, he's a killer. Ultimately, that people are being put in these extraordinary circumstances that are testing them to their limits, that are making them question their morals, their ethics, what they believe in, the structures that they're a part of, what they want to achieve, their backgrounds, their past, their futures. And that's Tony's genius. He's created a world where people are just interacting, trying to find their own little sense of themselves and power, attaching themselves to these structures that are ultimately forces beyond their control that are manipulating them to their own agendas. And you have different levels of that in terms of the villains of Andor, but ultimately, Tony has created these human characters that I think people, especially in season 2, are just going to be floored by. I think they won't expect anything. It's so raw and human and powerful.
It's interesting to be in something that you can genuinely become an audience member of. Like, I watch this and I don't think, I mean, I do sometimes think, how does my mouse go down that low? Like the sneer, how does that happen? But once I get that just out of the way for the first 5 seconds, I'm literally transported. Whereas everything else I watch, I'm like, oh my God, my face does this weird thing. And what does that? With this show, nothing. It's just, I'm an audience member.
And it's very peaceful.
Well, thanks a lot for all of your answers, and best of luck with the premiere now.
I wish I could pronounce his last name the way
Like
you just did.
I know.
I've been calling him Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. Wrong. I just realized how wrong I've been saying it.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Blomberg, writing for Movie Scene in Sweden.
Good
Nice
to meet you.
It's the pleasure is all mine. I've finished the second season, and I loved the first season, but I loved the second one even more, and I didn't even think that was possible. So that's good praise.
Oh,
Good.
Yeah, yeah. So I also wanted to be upfront that I have a spoiler question at the end that I've cleared with Disney, so you're free to answer that. But first of all, me being Swedish, you've been able to work now with Stellan Skarsgård on this show, so I wanted to know how that was, and maybe he learned you guys some Swedish curse words or something.
I wish I could pronounce his last name the way
Like
you just did.
I know.
I've been calling him Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. Wrong. I just realized how wrong I've been saying it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's a referent for me. Like I since I'm very young, you know, I've been loving his work, and I've been inspired by his work, and I think yeah, he brings so much depth to anything he does, you know, and it's hypnotic to watch, and a beautiful actor to work with, because he's very open, he's very humble, he's very much about like collaborating, you know, and playing. He doesn't he doesn't stay in a place where he feels comfortable. He's always looking for something else. It's a wonderful actor, but no cursing.
No cursing. He's so interesting, because it comes to show just by watching him, I'm like, man, maybe I'm not that talented, because he's just the easiest, coolest dude in the world. He's very funny, very, very present. When you speak to him, you really feel like you're the only person in the world. He has that beautiful way of sort of paying attention and listening, both on and off camera. But he's very funny and is playing around, and then all of a sudden, action, he just turns into Luthen. And I always found that fascinating when I could see someone that talented just go, I'm over here trying to like get in the zone and really, you know, focus, and watching him just being able to sort of turn it on and off. I mean, it's like watching a master. So I just observed him and try to learn everything I could from him.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. So thanks a lot for your time today, and best of luck with the premiere now. And I'm really waiting for everyone to see that scene.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Obviously, Game of Thrones was a different thing because it had already been established when I joined, but you never know how people are going to resonate with the work that you do. And so there's no real...
Hi, I'm Jonathan Blomberg, writing for Movie Scene in Sweden.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So it's a real pleasure to be able to speak with you both. I've watched the entire second season, and I loved the first, but I love the second even more. I didn't think that was possible. So that's real good praise.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I wanted to start by asking you, Genevieve, since Mon Mothma have been such a big figure in so many different Star Wars productions now. How has that been for you to kind of be involved in very different takes on this universe?
Yes, it has been a continual surprise to me
Yeah.
and a joy to me to meet her and then to come back to her and to get to play her at different times in her life that reflect different times in my life. And I think the opportunity to work now with Tony's writing, with this rich, textured, complicated, beautiful storyline, it is kind of what I would have hoped for Mon Mothma and also for me as an actor.
Yeah.
It is a real gift.
Yeah, and it's a gift for us too to experience that. And for you, Faye, you've done some some really great stuff throughout your career. Thinking about Game of Thrones and Adolescence now, and this, and they are so different from each other. I almost can't tell that you're the same person, which I guess is a good thing
nice
for an
compliment.
actor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a nice
that's what I'm
compliment.
saying. So I'm just interested in how you do you have like a different approach for a different genre, or is it always the same for you when you take on a new role?
I think it's all about the writing really, and the relationship with the showrunner and the writer and what they're looking for. I think I try not to be aware that, you know, a lot of these things we're in, you never know how. Obviously, Game of Thrones was a different thing because it had already been established when I joined, but you never know how people are going to resonate with the work that you do, and so there's no real way of me approaching it. It's all about character and the storytelling, and that's where I immerse myself, and that's where I feel most comfortable having conversations about that and really sort of getting the points of the character nailed down. And I'm just extremely, it's not lost on me how lucky I am to have been put, certainly at the moment, in two things that are quite important, let's say, on the world stage. For various reasons. So yeah, that's not lost on me.
For sure. And finally, we only have like a minute left now, but you both work with Stellan Skarsgård a lot, and me being Swedish, I must ask about how is it to work with one of the best from Sweden?
One of the best in the world.
In the world.
Yeah.
He is such an icon of our cinema history. He is, but he's also a deeply collaborative human. He's so interested. He's like, you get to play with Stellan.
Yeah.
It's not acting, you're playing. It's so vibrant. He fizzes.
You hit a ball back and he hits one at you, and then you hit, like, it's never the same at any point. He's also incredibly kind and incredibly, I don't know, he listens so well. He's a joy to be around. I'm absolutely in love with him. So
we are paid up members of the Stellan Skarsgård fan club right here.
100%. One of the best in the world, one of the best to do it.
Such a privilege to get to work with him.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot for saying that. I'm so happy that I got this time to speak with you now, and best of luck with the premiere.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
You know, suddenly it's Hollywood. I've been a sort of jobbing actor for all my career, and suddenly it's the big one.
How was it to step into Star Wars and being a part of it in that fashion?
It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, it felt like something I've never, ever encountered before. And it felt like quite intimidating to go into a big studio, into Pinewood, and working with, you know, suddenly it's Hollywood. I've been a sort of jobbing actor for all my career, and suddenly it's the big one. And of course, then with all the nerves, you go in with all the nerves and the expectations and the fear. And actually, of course, everybody's lovely and normal and very down to earth and very welcoming. And it's just another job. But what was great was it was a brilliant script, as you know. Tony Gilroy's script was extraordinary, and a pleasure to speak his words. And the first thing he said was, "Don't think Star Wars, think John le Carré."
Yeah, and that's a really good I really feel like the show kind of stands out of the Star Wars bunch. It happens to be set within that universe, but it doesn't necessarily feel like any of the other shows at all. So I think that's a good call to because it's a lot of like the other Le Carré movies and shows that we've seen throughout the years.
Yes. He's much more interested in people, human interaction and the little betrayals and alliances that make the human condition. Much more interested in that than the lightsabers and the action sequences. And so
yeah, it's used like just sprinkle it at the right moments, but that's not being the main story. So I like that, and your part in particular as a kind of someone working within a major organization, trying to do the right thing within his own circumstance, but clearly being on the wrong side of things at the same time.
Absolutely. And I love those parts that are complicated, as we all are. They're much more interesting than just being a baddie or a goodie. He's very complex, and he's very, as you say, he's under a lot of pressure from above. It's very fulfilling to play. And again in the second series, which is going to come out in the spring.